Good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. On behalf of the Mohawk Regional Information Center and the Regional Library Automation Service, we welcome you to the OPALS User Group meeting. I'm Lisa Addison, and to the left of me is Karen Horodnik.
Good morning.
We're also going to hear from Harry Chan, president of MediaFlex, and John Schuster, OPALS trainer and support person from MediaFlex. There's a Q&A at the bottom that you can type in your questions. They will go directly to the presenters, and the resources that were handed out through the Google link will also be in the chat. And just so you know, this user group will be recorded, and we will share the link for those that could not attend, or you have staff that you would like to watch it. Just a few things briefly for library automation purposes. You should be making plans for your OPALS inventory if you haven't started already. MediaFlex does recommend that inventory circulation be at its minimum when you decide to do a full inventory. So please remember to give yourself enough time to reconcile those reports, because if you do not reconcile the reports, you really haven't done an inventory. So reach out to us if you want us to come get you started, if you need to borrow any equipment, and we can get you on the calendars as soon as possible.
All right, and then the next thing is in there, you have handouts that you'll find on the Library Automation Service end of the year checklist, along with supporting instructions. There's also a checklist for fall startup. These checklists are strictly a guideline. You may already have these from previous years, so if you do, you can disregard. It's just something to follow along for the beginning and the end of the year.
Also, before you leave for the end of the year, there's a couple of things that helps us out. The first thing is, as you know, for those on School Tool, we have the automatic downloads that take place nightly. If you decide that you need a change in the data, the way the homeroom, maybe your teacher comes in, I know a lot of the high schools like to use the English ELA class and the teacher and the period that the teacher has that student. So if you have any changes to that, if you could let us know before you leave for the summer, so we can work with the MORIC programming team and get those changes done for next school year.
And then last but not least, if you are aware of any staffing changes that are going to be taking place for next school year, 23-24, if you could shoot us an email and let us know. And that way in the fall, we'll know if there's OPALS training that needs to be done with any new staff, or if there's just any changes in your library staff.
Okay, thank you, everybody. That's all we have right now for updates for library automation. So we're going to go ahead now and turn it over to Harry Chan for his OPALS future enhancements.
Good morning, Harry.
Good morning. I'm not quite sure what happened to my background, but
that's okay. It was beautiful, but
yeah, it seems to have turned.
It could be that power struggle up there
or something. Yeah, that's sort of interesting. Okay, so what I'll do is share my screen, I guess, is the next step, and I will move us over to the spring update. Do you see that clearly? I guess you do, eh?
Yep.
Good, excellent. So basically, we're working on a number of releases and updates, which will be released possibly as early as the end of May, and then another summer release later on. But we'll try to focus on what's coming in the spring. And this is just an overview. There actually could be more stuff that will materialize between now and the end of next month. One of the things I wanted to show you was the fact that we've worked on some features that are needed on a day-to-day basis. One of these features is that addresses a problem, or a challenge, I should say, related to the overdues and the overdue notices that the overdue items that have that have accumulated in your system over the past perhaps several years. And sometimes the students have already left the school, and sometimes you just might not have gotten around to cleaning those up. So we have added a new feature to that, which enables you to basically bring up all of your overdue notices. You can then sort them by the, well, this is items on loan actually. So let me go to this one. These are the overdue items in our demo database, and they go back to 2018. So what you can do here is you can actually, and I'm probably one of the worst offenders, as you can see, Julie Walsh, my colleague, is another one. And you can mark the ones that where there's no hope of ever getting them back. And there's a new button. It's just before the export on the right-hand side, which says mark as lost. So we discovered that some schools have as many as, I'm going to stop that video because it's really a little distracting for me more than you probably. So one of the things that we've discovered is that, and not necessarily in your region, but we were just chatting with someone in Texas, and they had over 500 overdue notices, of which 300 were more than a few years old. So this will enable you to not have to deal with them one at a time in terms of deleting them. You could actually, in one fell swoop, declare them all as lost. And so that's one feature that we have update that we have added to the system. It's possible that the MORIC servers have not been updated with this, but they have been updated for the servers, for some of the servers, for people for whom this was an immediate need. However, it will be part of a general update to all of the servers at the end of May. The other item is the loaned items list, and that's the one I had started with. For whatever reason, I forget what it was, folks would like that loaned items list to identify the location of where the item was from. So if you've done genreification or if you have special collection rooms, then the system will actually tell you where that book or where that resource resides, if it's in the genreification section or if it's actually in some other part of the school. So that's another little change, but it was something that makes it more convenient for folks on a day-to-day basis. Another change that we have made has to do with circulation and loans. If I go back to here, the items on loan, okay, and then we'll go into circulation. I'll just show you, it's a little change that makes things a little easier for some of you librarians. And I'll put my name in here again. No, I'm not Fanny Chan, actually. And then with this particular change, there's I'm going to make that go away. So one of the changes that folks, one of the features in circulation that folks use have to do with circulation transactions. And they like to, often in an elementary school, they like to be able to give, or high school, I guess, or any school library, they like to give folks a receipt for the transactions that they have outstanding, or a summary, and especially if they have any that are overdue. And one of the requests that was made was that those receipts have the ability to, the feature to include the thumbnails. They have not been including the thumbnails up until now. And we're told by librarians that often students don't remember the titles of the items that they have borrowed or that are overdue. However, once they see the thumbnail, they remember what it is. Also, when the little kids bring these receipts home, parents need to start looking for the book, and apparently the cover helps them to find it somewhere in their school. So that's another little change that will be added to the system to make life a little bit easier for you to manage that feature. another change that is coming has to do with the databases and the database services to which you subscribe, and it involves the renewal process and the review process of the items that you have subscribed to. And so if I go into one of your sites, let's say Madison Oneida, and we were to look at the databases in the districts that to which you subscribe, and let's go to a building which would be Rome Academy. So we know which databases you have subscribed to at each of the schools. And one of the things that we will be able to do is to be able to send you and those that are managing this service will be able to send you a list of the items that you have subscribed to in the course of the year. It will also list the transactions statistics, the use statistics for each of these. And there will also be a column enabling you to decide whether you renew or whether you cancel that particular subscription. The system will also enable you, those that are managing it, to send you a list of all of the databases which you might want to subscribe to, and that will enable you to choose the ones that you would like to add to your subscription, your library database services. So that's that will make it a lot easier for them and for you to review and to decide on which databases you would like to renew. We're also working on a management system which will enable us to help to manage these processes. So let me get to it. Thought I had set this up actually, so I apologize for the delay.
Excuse me, Harry, we have a message in the chat pertaining to that. And it says, how will OPALS collect usage statistics from the databases?
Well, let me go back to that then. And that's a good question. Let me go back and show you something. So in the reports, one of the things that we do actually keep track of the statistics for most of the databases. Some of them we will have to go to the let's see. I'll just choose another school. And if I go to statistics by school, and if I were to go to, say, a middle school, oops. So the system actually does have a way of keeping track of the statistics and will report them to you. I think this might be from September, okay? It's possible some of these schools are not using the service as much as others. And here we go. So those are some of the, we do actually, what we can do is send these to you, and then along with that report that I had mentioned that is being worked on. We don't really have a lot of time to go into that kind of detail, but I could also go to
there's another message that I'm just going to interject with, Harry.
okay.
For the Jefferson Lewis schools, Megan asked to continue to use the the system that you have for managing your database subscriptions, and contact her office if there is any questions regarding that.
Okay, good. So here, this is a school that is using it, and basically you can see how you can actually do a toggle the search, the hit list. So you can see which ones are used most heavily, and then go down the list from there. So then and that can be will be incorporated in the report that will be sent to you, in addition to all the other databases that to which you've subscribed. In fact, if I say include 0, then and I go back to this particular statistics by school, and you'll see there are some databases that are being used here for which there does not seem to have been any activity so far this year.
Harry, quick question.
Okay.
These statistics, are they coming from when a student clicks on the link from the OPALS homepage, or are these, if they go directly to search for success or 24/7 or whatever people are calling them, where are the statistics for every time the database is used, or just when they're used through OPALS?
When they're used either through OPALS or through the search or 24/7 or whatever, as you say, you call it, that list, the system does keep track of the number of searches that are done by students when they click on the database and when they go to the articles. So it's a cumulative search. Now, some of these searches, and we will include a report to that effect, may be larger because the way the data stream is delivered there might be one hit, but Britannica, I suspect what they do is they also have a separate file which has pictures in it or charts and so on. So some of these numbers seem large, but on the other hand, once you know that, you can know that, for example, 68,000, and a number like 68,000 is probably more like 7,000 or 8,000 because of the number of assets, digital assets that are being delivered every time a search result is being sent to the system. So some of these are we can let you know which ones are likely to be like that. However, there's no question that Britannica is very heavily used at just about everywhere. Just not that I'm trying to sell it, but you can see that is the case. Some of the others that look suspicious to you, where you know that there seems to be more activity than is being reported, then we can help you to investigate that where that's the case. And by the way, some of these might not report because what we call non-proxy databases. So Khan Academy might actually be used quite a bit, but it's really basically just a link that is on your database listing. And so once you click on that link, it goes to that site, but we don't have a way of keeping track of it once you are going there. So it's kind of like going to a web page and from Google. You just, unless Google's keeping track of everything from your school, which I don't think they are, then that you can't really know how often that you have actually accessed that particular database. Now, if you register with them, it's possible that they will know. So there's a bit of explanation there. So, for example, Noodle Tools, once you go there, you have to log in to use all of its features. So Noodle Tools will have statistics, and we can get those and help you get those as well.
I just want to put a disclaimer out there, so for the new people to know that all these databases and this statistical information, that's a school library system service. The MORIC just supports your local OPALS collection. So if you do have any questions regarding your databases, subscriptions, statistics, you should reach out to your school library system. So I
Right.
just for clarification, for everybody, so there's no confusion.
Sure. And because you work to design the portals and help with the set up the discovery searches and so on, this is an integral part of that. So thank you for doing that, Lisa. We are also working on a directory. We are helping folks like Lisa and Karen and other school library systems that provide services to the districts to have a quick overview of all the OPAL services that are available to a district or a region. So in this case, we're looking at Oneida Herkimer and Central Valley Schools, and there are 4 schools there, and we know what their addresses are. We know their code in the union catalog, and also the link that goes to their OPAL system as well. In addition to that, we can keep track of the what services are being used at a particular location. So if I go to, say, Jefferson Lewis this time, and we look up the districts and the libraries, and we know that at all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 schools are using OPALS, and you are hosting at MORIC, and this is not totally populated yet, by the way. So if your school is not on it or district, it's just because we don't have all the data in here yet. But we'll record whether you're using textbook management, equipment management, DPS, which is kind of like is the same as search, and the database services, and the starting and the finishing dates. And we can add other services as well, and notes regarding those services if there are special notes that need to be recorded regarding those situations. We can also we'll also be able to report the subscription details. So the things I showed you in the subscription management module for databases will be a part of this whole directory, so that Karen and Lisa will have all of that information at their fingertips. And the next phase will be to decide what part of this directory you and the districts and in the individual schools will have access to, just so you have access to certain types of information as well. So that's another fairly big project that we have underway. Another one that I want to show you that is quite interesting is, and I think you'll like, is the in your OPAL system. You probably don't know this report is there, and it's not that useful in some ways, but when we designed it about 15 years ago, it was useful because people just wanted to know in general, is my OPAC being used, and how many searches are there, and how many searches are getting 0 results, and 1 to 50 results, and 51 to 100, and or more than 100. So this one goes back to 2019, but we could just do the one for the current school year as well at Rome Free Academy. What we are working on now is an AI analytics for these searches. Now, first thing I want to tell you is that OPALS, because you do not require students to log in to use the OPAC, one of the big advantages of that is that we don't know who is launching which search. However, what we do know is what those searches are. So one of the compelling statistics that you would probably want to have a look at, and the search arguments has to do with the 0 results. And one of the analytics will enable us, first of all, to dedupe everything. So if the same topics or words or keywords or subjects are being used and are producing 0 results, they will be concatenated and numbered so that you'll have an idea how frequently those searches are being launched against the OPAC. This will enable you to either improve the metadata that is in your MARC records, and by adding maybe local subject headings, because maybe the official ones from the Library of Congress or whoever don't actually use the same words that normal people use. and students use. It will also enable you to identify topics that are genuine topics for which you might not have information or books or resources in your library. And that can help you in two ways. One of them is to with regards to acquisitions, and I noticed that's something that's on your list to discuss today. And also the other one would be to, now you still don't know who asked the question, but if it comes up fairly frequently and you can do a little thinking about it, about what those searches are and analytics of your own, you might be able to find out that certain topics in social studies are frequently required, or maybe not so frequently required that you would want to buy the book, but you might want to make it known through your portal or in chatting with the social studies department that these books are available, these resources are available to you through CIDR or through the Union catalog. So there are a number of ways that zero statistic can be analyzed. Similarly for the 1 to 50, 51, especially 51 to 100 and greater than 100, these will let you know what those topics are that are and search arguments are that are generating such large numbers, and enable you to, and the system will help you to have reports that will enable you to focus on those subjects, to see whether there is a way for us and you to help to parse those search argument results so that students can and teachers can target more precisely what they would like to, what they are, guide them to where they really want to go. So that's we're quite excited about that. That's as I said, we're going to be using AI algorithms to analyze those statistics. Those statistics, we're accumulating them. And as I say, I want to reassure you that we do not know who is generating these. That's one of the big advantages of having a kind of an anonymous search when they go to the OPAC, but at the same time enables us to collect the results, those search arguments and these statistics, which can then be analyzed to help you manage your libraries and your library services better. So the next item that I wanted to deal with has to do with grade levels and reading levels. OPALS keeps track of a number of these and will, well, mainly the Lexile ones and AR, and I'm not sure if AR is still around, and reading counts. One of those is gone, and Founders and Pinel, if they were in the records. Now, unless a teacher or a student or a parent is versed in the intricacies of those those numbers, they're pretty meaningless, sadly. Now, for those who are aware of them, they're great. However, they're not that helpful. So we're actually going to, and I know it's going to not be perfect, but it will at least be a good approximation. Are going to do a crosswalk, which will enable you to search by grade 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. As you can see here, that some of the grade levels are indicated as 3.9 and 4.1 and things like that. So we're going to have a crosswalk, which will enable those reading levels to be converted to grade levels for those who want to be able to search that way and to focus on those parts of the collections that address a particular age level or grade level that which are commonly used in North America. Now, coming to Pathfinder's genre lists, topic walls, and bibliographies, these are being used increasingly, and some folks have really huge lists of Pathfinders which they built up over the last 5-10 years, and are being used now, especially in the high schools, where teachers will use these and project them onto smartboards to provide lists for resource-based learning experiences, which they put together when they're teaching. We are going to add options when authoring any of these to send the contents to one or any of the other lists or displays. What we find is, what we're discovering and what librarians are telling us is when they create a genre list, they want to be able to send that to the topic wall. I think you can do that now, actually. don't quote me, but I think that is actually possible, and we just haven't made it clear to folks that that's possible. However, folks also want to be able to send information from a Pathfinder to a genre list sometimes because it does fit into that category, or from a Pathfinder to a topic wall, which is not necessarily a genreified list. Also, bibliographies. They want to be able to build those and to be able to send information from a very detailed bibliography to a Pathfinder or a genre list or a topic wall, or parts of that bibliography or parts of a Pathfinder to any of these other formats. So that's coming. That will be there definitely by the end of May. There's also going to be an option for each of these lists to be able to send those contents to Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive, or to download. I think some of them allow you to download it as an HTML already, but some of them don't. So we're going to make that possible. And as I say, print and email are existing output options for all of those, but or most of them. And so that we're expanding the outputs from those particular resource lists that you can create in OPALS. Another project that we're working on, and it's actually being worked on this week with the folks at the GST school library system, is that we're creating the ability for you to build diversity, equity, inclusion terms and lists, and editing features that allow you to add those terms to items that are already in your collection or to new acquisitions. So this will be an authority listing and a utility to add the terms to records. And following the beta testing of that, which will be happening in the month of April or early May, we will share those results with the rest of, with other school library system directors, because we believe that this is something that could be done wonderfully and collaboratively through school library systems to create this kind of listing and authority list that could be incorporated into the editor and into the global editor as well, so that you can, a lot of you have parts of the collection which do include resources that address this particular mission. And on the other hand, it's quite a challenge to find the terms that you want to use and to be consistent as well, and to then add them selectively and globally to those resources. This will help you get there faster and more consistently. Now, in terms of equipment and textbook management, some of you do use those modules. We do have an advanced booking service that is available through that for those particular applications. So if I look into booking, booking module. So there's an option to turn on the booking module in OPALS, and I'm going to say a bit more about that as well, although I've only got 9 minutes left. I'll turn that on, and when you turn it on, you can actually offer advanced booking services to your library for textbooks or for the equipment module. And now, what I'm going to say generally is that we designed and worked with school library systems in various parts of New York State to design a very advanced booking module to manage the diversity of resources that they offer to schools in the region. Some of them have, Oneida Herkimer is one of them, has about 80,000 music scores, and others have, like Mosey's have, and all of you have things like makerspace kits and robots and multiple copy collections that you lend out. So the regions have a very complex system where they can, all the teachers in a region can actually avail themselves of this service to which their district has subscribed to do an advanced booking. And the system keeps track of delivery, courier services, if the school is receiving, which day of the week the courier goes to that particular school that in which a teacher is working, and also it manages which resources they are entitled to borrow, and manages just the delivery, the processing, the picking of the order, the packing slips, the whole thing. However, we have a reduced version of that, and it doesn't cost you any more. There's no extra cost for this built into OPALS, and it's possible that, and we haven't told too many people about it, but we are starting to talk about it, and it's something to consider. And Lisa and I were chatting about it this morning, that it might not actually be on all of your servers. So it enables you to activate advanced booking services for a library, or for the library, and for library resources. You can also do that for textbooks and also for equipment. So a lot of you use the equipment module to circulate Chromebooks, but sometimes some of the Chromebooks that are in your school or in your district are in reserve, and they're loaned out for a specific period to individuals. So this allows you, if you're a teacher and you need a set of ebooks or MiFis or hotspots for a particular period of time, you can actually reserve them ahead of time for that particular event, or for those particular folks and for those particular classes. Similarly for textbooks and also for library. So some of you, I'm hearing, well, sometimes as a social studies teacher, I'll pick on them because I was actually trained to be a social studies teacher. Will come to the library and say, I would love to borrow, here are 30 books on Native North America, because I'm teaching a unit on Native North Americans. And by the way, I need them in 30 minutes. So that's the usual, I understand. So this booking module allows you to offer them a service where, when they're planning that, when I'm planning that unit or learning experience or lesson plan on Native North Americans, I can then actually do an advanced booking request. I could browse your collection, select the books, the 30 books or 20 or however many I'd like, and I can say I need these between this date and this date. And then you can also, if your policy for managing library advanced booking is for them to pick it up, which is probably the most reasonable, that would be fine. There's also classroom pickup. And if you're offering advanced booking or curbside services to parents or to students, you could also choose that option. So there are a number of, this is quite an amazing application. And as I was saying to Lisa and Karen at the beginning, it really requires a separate session for us to be able to show it to you. And also, we were chatting with those who have started to use it, and it's important to start with a few teachers that are going to really love that kind of service, so that when your district gives you the ability to do a presentation and orientation for teachers, you could actually have teachers who could confirm that this is working and it worked very well for them. So there's a whole strategy, which is why I was saying that it involves a separate kind of presentation. But all of that is to say that advanced booking is available, and it's kind of like reserve requests on steroids, and it will be much appreciated by teachers. It is appreciated by teachers who know it exists, and it will be helpful to you too, because then you'll be able to have time to plan, and instead of having to rush around at the last minute to find these kinds of requests. I'm getting close to the end of my 3 more minutes. Okay. One of the other changes that we're going to be presenting to you is a changed enhancements to the OWL interface. Everyone loves the OWL interface. Every time we think of changing it, people will protest that it shouldn't be done because students are very attached to it, and some teachers too, apparently. However, we do know that there are additional resources that are being added, to your list of services to the kids, and they don't necessarily go to the library portal. So we're going to be adding more features that make it obvious that you have other services available to them. We did a survey at the advisory board meeting last year about this, and apparently the sloth wins. Apparently, so when they click on the sloth, then that will give you a list of buttons to which you could add icons and services available for the little kids as well. So that's just one of the changes that are coming. And as a grand finale, if I can find my way here, one of the things that we have done is we've enhanced the discovery search, and some of you already know this. So if I do a solar search, here, there's a way for us to add resources to that discovery search. So here we've added, as you can see, we've added the databases that some of you are using, and you can see here that the number is rapidly increasing. It's just much more rapid when we don't use Zoom, by the way. We can also search the Brewster School District for resources on that topic as well. We can search the Union Catalog, this is the Putnam Northern Westchester one, but you have Cider, which is much bigger even. And then we were also going to be giving everybody a beta copy of SURF, which is something that some of you used many years ago, and people have asked us to revive it, which is actually a list of databases that Solar Search. Well, that was not good. Solar. That wasn't too impressive, was it? Solar System. So that will give you a list of all of these resources, and we can add other ones as well, by the way, just so you know, because I'm running out of time. But so for databases, for example, we can search Britannica, and if I had the password for that school, then I could get in right away, but I don't. And once the password is entered, then you can get into all the databases, and there's database results that have been found at this particular site. We can go to Brewster School District. I thought they would have more than 4 or 5 books on the solar system in the district, and the region, which has 1,169, and then SURF, which has all these nicely cataloged resources, carefully selected resources, and websites that are safe, and so on. So this is, some of them have a table of contents, which refer to a lot of the so we're providing this, and we'll be chatting with all of the directors about this free of charge until at least the end of next year, the next school year. And we're looking for your feedback on this as well to help make it better. Excuse me, my voice is giving out, which is good for you. It's 9:45. And so I guess it's time to pass the baton. Are there any questions?
Harry, there were a couple of questions that did come in on those topics. One was when exporting those bibliographies and things to say Google Drive, will it be a static document like a PDF, or will they be able to edit it?
Our goal is for it to be editable.
Okay, great. The other question was on, I believe, the diversity, equity, inclusion terms,
Yes.
list and editing that's in beta. They're trying to clarify, will they have to actually enter the terms themselves through the authority table, or will it do an auto-populate? Apparently, previous Destiny user, Destiny used to auto-populate that information, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I think initially you would need to do this yourselves, but we're looking for feedback on that. I'm not sure how you could automatically auto-populate. I know how you could do that, and that's why we could work with the school library system directors, because once we started knowing where to apply, these terms, they could be applied to the union catalog. And the union catalog could actually become a source that could actually populate if you wanted to. You'd have to have the option to want to do this, so I'm sure almost everybody does, so that we could actually cascade that from the authority to the various collections. That's a good point. We'll look at it, at doing it that way.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Harry. We're going to move on to John and give your voice a rest and save it up, though, for the question and answer at the end.
Okay.
And John's going to now talk about, do a quick inventory refresher.
Yes, good morning. Harry, I think you'll need to stop sharing.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, thank you. Okay, there we go. And there we go. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. It's nice to be here with all of you. And as we get closer to the end of the year, inventory seems to be the topic of the day as we get closer. And I have to say, Lisa, you said something, and I thought it was very well put and very succinct. If you don't reconcile, you said something to the effect that if you don't reconcile, you've not done an inventory. Right? You said something like that, Lisa. And
I did.
that's very true, because recently, just within the last, I don't know, month, maybe, a site asked me to look at their inventory with them. And I looked at it, and it was done late last spring. Well, I think it was April or May of last spring. And I said, this is meaningless, because they didn't reconcile. They thought they did the inventory, ran the reports, and now they were going to reconcile almost a year later. Everything's changed. So, and so Lisa, when you said that, I thought that was so on point. So thank you. I'm going to use that in the future. That's my new inventory bumper sticker. If you haven't reconciled, you haven't done it. Okay. Anyway, and by the way, as you're doing this, Lisa also mentioned that your circ activity should at best be a minimum amount if possible. And one question, and I'm going to run an inventory in just a minute. I'm using the Madison Oneida Professional Collection to run a mock inventory of sorts. One point that always comes up, what do we do? We're in the middle of an inventory and books are coming back in. You'll have to make a decision when those books can come back in, to either check them in during the inventory before you process, or leave them completely aside. In other words, you started your inventory maybe this past Monday, you're in the middle of it, and you've got books coming back in, and you've done your zeros up to, say, the 600 so far. What do we do with all the books? Well, if you do check them in, if you don't check them in and you didn't inventory and they're still out, that's accounted for. So you can feel very comfortable. And Lisa and Karen, please, throw any ideas out. If you don't check them in, they're accounted for because they're loaned out. So just by being on loan, to a certain extent, is their inventory. Some student or faculty member has them out. So you could leave them all just piling up till you're done, say at the end of the week, and then check them in when you're done processing. If you're going to check them in during your inventory, let's say you did the 100s a few days ago and 5 100s came in today, you'd have to reload that file. You'd have a problem because you didn't scan them. Okay. So the hundreds, the file of 100s you've scanned, you didn't scan the books out. So if you check them in now, they'll be missing. So
John,
Yep.
One thing that we kind of tell them to do, because we found over the years that they do want to clean up the students' accounts.
Yep.
So they don't have anything outstanding, is if they do check them in while they're doing inventory, we tell them just to keep them on a cart, don't shelve them And
Right.
then at the end of inventory, do a file that's just the cart.
Perfect. Yeah. I was going to say something similar to that. And that's very good because then you've got them. And another thing is, folks, when you're scanning your collection, I'm a big advocate of naming what I've scanned. So in other words, if I've scanned my 100s through the 399s, 100s through the 300s, I would label that file 100s through 300s, and I'd put a date on it, spring 23 inventory. So that you have a number of files that you can run as you like. Then what Lisa just said is very good idea. Put them all on a cart. Then you could label that when you scan those books for your inventory, something called the return cart, and put a date on it. And you'll know that return cart means all the books that came in that you returned in circ, you're going to scan them, and that's going to be their name. Instead of the 100s, 300s, it's going to be the return cart. Is that something you would do, Lisa?
John, I kind of do things a little differently because I'm kind of an OCD person. I kind of instruct the people, they do keep a piece of paper, and we still use the old, take you back to DOS Mandarin, the Inven 1, Inven 2, Inven 3 files.
Okay.
And then we write on the piece of paper what the call number range is.
Okay.
Of that file. And the reason I do have them do that is when you're bringing them in, say you want to use the report to check your shelving and you want to bring them in call number order, it's much easier to go chronologically from 1 to 25 than it is to try to make sure you're not going to miss one of those Dewey ranges or something along that line.
Got it.
When
Okay.
you're bringing in the files. So
Yeah.
that's a little different from what you do. And a lot of people do choose to do it by call number. I just think it's much easier to make sure you haven't missed anything because you've got a sequential number to follow.
Got it. Very good idea. Yeah. One other point. I had an inventory done last year. I was helping a site out, and they had a bunch of missing. And at first they were like, there shouldn't be these. I know that book, da, 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 da. And finally, another person in on the Zoom said, wait, those are all in the closet. Never forget it. And I said, what's the closet? They said, it's literally a closet where we put extra stuff. And all those, we forgot to go to the closet. So that's just another, I'm just saying this out loud because there was a perfect example where they just forgot to go to the closet or the back room or maybe a shelf of stuff, whatever, to be repaired shelf, whatever that might be. So those are just some other ideas. Just think of those places you might have tucked some books away, overstock, or to be repaired, things like that. So let's run an inventory, and I've set myself up. I've gone in. I was at the professional library last night scanning books in the middle of the night, so I'd be ready, and I'm all set. I'm kidding. I'm going to admin, inventory. Now, there was an inventory done a little earlier today, but I deleted or I closed it. I'm going to do a new inventory. If there is anything up here and it's all in blue, you'll have to close it or delete it first. So I'm going to click new inventory. I'm going to do a range. I'm going to do the 400s. And you'll see I just put 400 I'm going to put a third zero, sorry. 000 AA to 499.999. I am going to keep everything checked, but just be aware when you do an inventory, if you're not doing your serials collection, your journals, uncheck it. Okay. I'm going to keep it checked in this case. If you're not using CDs or DVDs, don't have these checked. They shouldn't be. So don't check these unless, of course, in your range, you included other things than books, DVDs, and the like. Okay. So you just want to pay attention to this, and you'll see I'm doing it by range, the 400s. By the way, you also have location. If you have location set up, makes it quite easy. I'm going to load my file. Just a second. There we go. And here we go. Here's my 400s inventory. Now, this is my naming convention. Would be different than Lisa's. Listen to Lisa because she'll be working with you. Okay, I'm going to open that, put it in here. I'm going to add my file. So I found the file. Now I'm adding it. It's a very small file right now. So I'm going to do the inventory. Now a note came up. There's 13. There's some stuff here. More than 20% have not been scanned. Do you wish to proceed? Yes. So you just type yes. This would only come up if your file is quite short, less than 20%, or more than 20 have not been scanned. So I'm going to say yes anyway, because I've set myself up a bit. Okay. All right. So I've done the inventory. Now, there's 4 books missing, not scanned. I had a total of 13. There were 9 in the file. And it's telling me a couple of things here. There was 2 items on loan. Why would they be in my file? Okay, so we'll get to that in a moment. So the missing, not scanned, I can click this. And I'm looking and I see some call numbers. All right, item types, professional and 2 Gs. I'm seeing these. I'm seeing the call numbers. These are the 400s. So these are not in the library. They weren't scanned, or they may be in that closet I mentioned a few minutes ago. So in this case, I actually just deleted these 4 items off of my scanning list so that they would show up like this, so you would see it. Okay. I just ran the shelf list and took barcodes from the shelf list to set myself up, just so you know. So these are missing. And what do? Well, I'd probably maybe print this out and go check them again, or check the library before I did anything. Then once I've determined they are in fact missing, I could choose mark selected as missing and select these over here, or mark all as missing. Remove certain things from my missing list because I'm doing something else with them. I don't want them noted as missing for whatever reason. Print selected or print all. So make a determination. Check your shelves again, unless you have thousands, then that would be intense. But this is just 4. I could run out, look at them, make sure, yep, they're really missing, and then I can mark as missing. All right, back to my results. Loaned but shelved. How come? Well, let's see what they are. It's a little hard maybe on Zoom, but right where my cursor is here, it says call number, and over here it says call number previous to. Okay, so this is telling me that these books are on loan. Okay, why are they on the shelves? Well, maybe a student brought them back, or a teacher brought them back and thought they were doing you a favor and didn't drop them off to be checked in the circ desk. Or maybe you thought you checked them in and shelved them. That's why these would be there. You shouldn't really find many of these. But again, I checked these 2 books out to myself to show you what might happen. Loaned but shelved. You can return them, mark all as returned, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go back to my inventory results. Okay, what else do we have here today? So that's it. 4 missing, not scanned. Check them out. 2 loaned but shelved. Make sure you bring them back in. Okay. Now I'm going to run an entire inventory. This time I'm going to just go back up to admin inventory. I'm just going to delete it. There we go. All right, new inventory. This time I'm going to run the entire collection. All right, so you see that my call number range disappeared. My location range disappeared because I'm doing the entire collection. And I could then go down through here and check some of these. I'm just going to leave them as they are. And also, on the right side, what item types do you have? Now, most of you probably have something like G for general collection, or professional, or maybe you have DVDs or CDs as an item type. So think about those with the files that you've scanned. By the way, I'm just going to click by range a moment. And Lisa and Karen, if you have any ideas, let me know. But sometimes folks will just do their DVDs because it's quick. There's 100 DVDs. You can scan them in minutes. So if you do have DVD over here in your item types or CDs or things like that, then you have them as a location, you could do that small chunk and not have to mix it in with all the general reports. That can make it a less stressful. I do notice that inventory can be stressful. But if you do a few ranges just to eliminate the DVDs or the CDs, or if you had video cassettes still, things like that, might make it a little easier in the long run. Entire collection. I'm going to browse my file. Inventory spring. All right, I've got my entire file here. Add. Now this time we have 575. Let's do the inventory. I didn't get a note saying that there's a lot more to do. Let's see, what do we have here? 20 books this time missing. Again, this is a fake. I went and just took the barcodes. I didn't really scan anything. So this is telling me list of not scanned or recently marked missing holdings. Here's the title. Here's the call number. You could print this out, go check your shelves, make sure you didn't miss something in the back room, the closet again, something like that. Going back to the inventory results. Now, again, this time I have lost, missing, but shelved. Okay. So in other words, this is telling me that these books have been previously, they're on the shelf, but they were marked lost or missing. Well, I didn't really scan again, so just bear with me on that. But in other words, if a book was marked lost in your collection or missing on a student's record, and then someone found it and put it back on the shelf, it would come up here telling you, you have already marked this lost, but then you scanned it. What's going on? So you want to go check these, because if you've scanned them again, presumably you touched the book. It physically is there. Okay. Now, I didn't do a real inventory. I just borrowed the barcodes, but nonetheless, that's why this would come up. If some books that you marked lost or missing ended up being back on the shelves, which is great, but they're back on the shelves. Okay. What else? Outside of checked media format. I did that on purpose. I didn't check stuff just to show you what might happen. So apparently my inventory scanned a number of things that I didn't check over here on the right side. Let's see what those things were. Well, I forgot what I had scanned or something. Let's view. I think they're ebooks actually. Oh, they're manuscripts, or this is an ebook. So this is saying I did not click manuscript. I did not click ebook. I did not click compact disc, but yet they were inventoried. So this is just telling me that I did in fact scan these, physically scan, well, not the ebook, that would be impossible. But I went and scanned this compact disc. So I did an inventory. It's just the report is telling me, well, you did an inventory, but you didn't tell the inventory what media formats. So you've gotten 56 that were outside of what you didn't, or what you'd only checked. So it's not the end of the world.
John?
I did a good inventory. Anyway, yes.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so I just wanted to interject. Questions are coming in for people that have never done an OPALS inventory. Obviously, we'll be coming and getting you started. Anybody that needs a refresher, because you only do it once a year, make an appointment. We'll go through and get you started. But under the item type loans, I see that you left the electronic resource.
Yes, I did.
Mark. Yeah, that's something we don't do. But
No, I
we do
wouldn't.
have a lot of items in the catalogs that are manuscript books. Typically, they're either collections that they don't want to go up to the union, so we can block them from auto updating to the union when they bring them in. So,
Yeah.
but we definitely will go over all that
With our new people.
with our new people.
Yep.
Yeah, and one
Or
thing
if you
I
have a
think
question, just reach out to Lisa or I.
great. I think I included this and maybe you'll use it. My exercise, if you've never done an inventory, it'll take you 10 minutes. It's an exercise to just do the 100s, because most libraries,
there.
school libraries, yeah, you could just do the 100s and run the inventory to get your feet wet, so to speak. And there's a little help doc. It's very simple. You do it do it by call number, 100 to 199, etc. Take you 10 minutes to scan them, maybe 20 if you had a lot of philosophy, psychology. And then you're done. Then you've got your feet wet. Okay. I would say this, that you've got a very good help resource with Lisa and Karen to help you. I do see that inventory is really causes a lot of stress because you've got a lot going on. Try to get through it without the stress. And I'll just give you a quick story. Many years ago, I had a site that called. The lady was literally in tears. It was close enough to me, so I drove to her site and went in, and she was all upset. She'd spent a week scanning, and there was no problem. All she forgot to do was click. I'm laughing, but she laughed too. At the end, she loaded the file. She never clicked do inventory. So I drove about an hour to her school and clicked do inventory and saw a big smile. And she was stressed. So I guess my note of the day is try to be mellow about it if possible.
Yeah, I think the biggest stressor we actually have in our region that I've been hearing is allowing the library and the library staff time to actually do the inventory. You know, they
Right.
want that the administrators want kids to be able to check out books a lot longer. They don't want them to, you know, close out circulation. That causes a lot of the stressors. So the idea of doing part of your collection as a partial inventory, John, is a great idea. If there's time to like do the DVD collection or maybe do your reference collection, you know, and just do those little smaller collections prior to actually doing the full inventory, and then just leaving your you know, your easy, your fiction and your nonfiction for that full inventory. That could also save some time.
Yeah.
And some people choose to just do like a genre at a time if you're genrefied. So that is helpful too, if you can block off that area and just work on one section at a time.
Right. Well, and this may be too radical, but when I was actually working in a school library, we did inventory throughout the year. We never did it at one time. And what we did was we'd look at our calendar and see when students were on, you know, or not breaks, but on field trips, and that we'd look for a day where school might be quiet. And then we would say, okay, let's do the 100s through the so-and-sos. So that may be too radical for some of you, but I never did a full inventory. I did it all year long. We had staff, which we were lucky. So I had staff, extra staff, so it made it easy, but that's how we did it. Then the reports were less to look at, you know, so there's the inventory, and you've got a great resource with the with Lisa and Karen to help you out. Good.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And now you're up for collection development, and we did hand out include all the handouts that you sent me on that part.
Yeah. Great. Did you happen to include, and I put this in there because I love the tool. I use it to help folks. Did the 852 subfield search, did you
I
use
did
that?
include that, yes.
Okay. The reason I put that on there because I use it so much.
So
I
do
thought,
we use it a lot.
yeah. And I'm just going to show that to some folks. Okay.
Sure.
Let's go. Well, let's just use this library. The admin report. And why would you use this? Well, for example, I can't remember, is ref in the H of my call number, or did I use it as a prefix? I don't remember. Or I want to see all my my prices, or I'd like to see all locations, a certain location or something like that. Let me look at this library real quick. Oh, okay. 1 second. I'm going to use this library too. And I'm using a live library, one of your libraries, but you will not see any patrons. Okay. So bear with me. It's just a collection development. All right. So this is I don't know where this is. Where is it, Lisa?
They're brand new to Opals this year. We converted them this summer from Destiny to Opals, and this is in Oneida City School District.
Okay, great. I hadn't heard of it. I like the fish. Okay, the admin, I don't know. I'm new to the library. I just got hired. I don't know what they do. So I'm going to use that tool. Reports and tools. 852 subfield search right here. You won't use it every day unless you're in tech support. I want to see what they're using in the K. What does this library use in their prefixes? So I'm going to put an asterisk, which pulls up everything. Whenever you use this, use lowercase. Search. And I'm seeing, oh, they use professional, PR, but here's all in caps, here's not in caps. So this is a nice tool just to see if you've got some issues that aren't, the data is not all the same. This might be R. I'm not sure what list means. I bet that's board, book, ref. So I'm just seeing some things. You can export this as a CSV file. Okay. Let's see what they have for C, which is locations. So I'm going to put an asterisk again. And you want to do an analysis of all your locations. So there you go, red dots, reference, red dots. And just go up a page or two. It's just a nice way of seeing your collection. You can export it. Now, the reason I did location is I wanted to see, are these corresponding? There's everything, red dot and reference. Do I see any other location here that isn't showing up? Apparently, I don't. So that's just one thing I might do. If I saw a yellow dot here, I'd say, what's going on? Why does that say that? Is something wrong, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a tool, and you could put in your pricing if you want to know how many books have prices associated, things like that. It's just a really nice tool to use. And you might start using it and it'll help out, especially because you can export it as a CSV. Okay, so going back to collection development, obviously your inventory is doing some collection development. You're seeing what you don't have, so you can develop the missing book area. So let's just go. I'm using the same school, Willard Pryor. And one thing I like, and again, Lisa, Karen, interject. A lot of times people say, well, what are good reports to run? Well, I like the shelf list report for collection development. Why do I like it? Well, it tells me a lot of stuff, so to speak. Excuse the language, just a lot of stuff. Okay. It gives me the title, the author, the ISBN, the pub date, which is nice in your collection analysis. Okay. It'll show locations if there are some, like call numbers, the price, the barcode, total circ, and the status. It'll show missing or lost or on loan and the total circ here. So when I ran this, I'm just going to rerun the shelf list so you see where it is. Admin, reports and tools, shelf list and ranges on the far left, second from the bottom. It's a very good report. Plus, you can also export it to a CSV. Now, right now, my circ is all over the place. I didn't sort it, but I could just click the column. All right. And it's done. Now I have to click it again. Well, might have to click it again for descending, but it's already did it. And we see that Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Getaway, is the most circulated book. Then we see the 15, and it goes down to 13, and we see it's descending. Okay. Now this is a newer site, so they've only been up, as Lisa said, for this school year, but they still have some pretty good stats. That's why I chose this library. They must be very busy. And if you're with us today, very nice. You do a lot of loans. So here's the shelf list, which is great because you've got all this extra information. All right. Then I ran the I'll just run it again. Admin, reports and tools. Now I did get a different number and I have a question to our programmers. I'm going to run circ stats by title. And remember that I ran the shelf list and I click circ stats. So I'm seeing this title and this title with 15. Okay. So I'm going to run circ stats by title. Okay. I'm going to do a date range selection. I'm going to go way back. I know they just started, but I'm just going way back because I only know that because Lisa said it. So anyway, the prefix all, the type all, the format all, the total circ all, I'm excluding anything withdrawn or ILL or temporary. Create report. And I noticed something slightly different here. Now you'll see this is kind of like the shelf list. Very nice. Title, author, your pub date, everything. Your total circ on the far right side. If I click this, I'm going to click it again. It'll descend now. And I'm seeing the getaway has 24 here. But my shelf list next here is showing 15. So I'm wondering, I've asked the programmers, and I will let Karen and Lisa know, why is there a change? What's the difference? And my thinking is that it might be the range that the shelf list used. I'm not sure, but Lisa and Karen, I will be sending you an email once I know the difference, because this is the same exact book. Okay, but it's circulated, not double, but 9 more circs on this report. So again, collection development, and that's just a minor thing. I'm still seeing what the most circulated titles are. So those are reports that can help you out. Let's go back to admin. So the shelf list, the circ stats by title. Let's go back to reports and tools. So here's your general circ stats right up here. Let's run that. And let's run it for monthly. For Lisa, you said they started when?
This year, beginning of September.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to run it from 9/1 to today. You'll see I can do it monthly. I can do stats on 10s, 100s. I'm just choosing none for everything. From user, I could say, well, just by a grade, a homeroom, a teacher, user type. I'm doing everybody. Gender. I have run this on occasion, and I have found that it seems that the female students at least seem to borrow more. I'm going to run everything. Let's have a look. So here's my circ stats. Let's see what we've done since September at Willard Pryor. Busy place. 785 loans in October, 819 in January. Whoa. So the kids got back from Christmas or winter break and borrowed a lot of books. So here we are. Let's see what there we go. There's Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the getaway. So it's consistently showing up. And what's nice about this report is it shows you the loans in library use. What's in library use? The books were in the library on tables somewhere, but they weren't checked out. So oftentimes, I know reference collections are shrinking, but oftentimes, if a reference book doesn't go out, then you can do the in-library use. Because if you've spent a lot of money on a set of reference books, you'd like to know if they're ever used. Example, when I was at a school, a teacher came in with 10 students. I counted them. They were right in front of the circ desk. They worked on the 4-volume set of a reference collection. When they left, I brought the 4 volumes up. I went into in-library use, scanned them 11 times. 10 students, 1 teacher. I didn't know who touched what, but I wanted some stats on an otherwise non-circulating item. So there's your in-house. Then the returns. By the way, when I was at the school before OPALS, I had to justify my budget every year. So when I went to the director, I didn't show him just the loans. I showed him the returns as well, 4,000 returns. And I said, I need more money because we're circulating so much. The returns are all the work. The loans are the students and teachers bring me the books. The returns are, we have to shelve them. So there's more work. So we can't ignore the returns in our circulation statistics and asking for money. It worked, by the way, folks. Busy library, 10,000 books, or well, not 10,000, but 5,000 items were circulated since September. That's great. And again, we're seeing that there's currently 378 out. There's no holds, and there's the diary. So that's another nice report. Okay, so finally, for your collection development, you've got the shelf list, Circ Stats General. You could run items not circulated. That's a very telling report. Circ Stats by title. There are some reports of list of members with no loan. That'll just tell you what students and faculty have not borrowed. How much does that go towards collection development? I don't think too much, but it might go towards you working with the students who come up with no loans, things like that. Circ Stats by user might be nice to work with the student, but it won't give you collection development information. So let's say you've got your collection, you've done your reports, you've weeded your collection. This is what I just thought I'd end on. When you've pulled 422 books out of your collection that haven't circulated for whatever reason, you need to delete those. So talk to Lisa and Karen. I don't have time to show you how, but you can create a hit list, or you can go right into this tool. You've got your book trucks lined up with the books that you're deleting from the system, and you just start scanning them. And when you scan them, they'll build up on the left side, and then they'll move over, and then you can click delete. However, we have to be careful because you might be at a school system where before you can delete items, and Lisa, Karen, let me know, you have to.
You're right on track. They have to put them in withdrawn.
All right. And because you might need to have them signed off before you can delete, right? So rather than delete them right off the bat, change item status from hit list. Same thing. You've got your 483 books on the carts. Start scanning them. It'll develop on the left side. It'll move over here, and then you can change it to withdrawn. So you would change all those 400 plus books to withdrawn. Once you did that, you could go admin. You've done this. All 483 are marked withdrawn. Reports and tools. Withdrawn items right here on the far left. And you could run a historical and run a date range for today if you wanted, and get your withdrawn report. Let's just do them all so we have something to show. So here's 30 withdrawn. One was done yesterday. All right, cool. 30. So you could print this out. Okay, select all pages, export as a CSV, provide it to the administrators who need to sign off, give that to them, email and whatever. Once they've signed off, you can go right back here, select all pages. I'm not going to do it, and click delete. So the administrator signed off on all 483 items. I got it back. I can delete them, go back to the withdrawn items report, and pull them all up. Make sure you've got the right date range, whatever. And then you can just click delete, and then you'll have a deleted. You've successfully, literally done some collection development and deleted books that aren't circulating. So there's the reports and the follow-up, withdrawn and then delete for collection development. Very good. Pretty much on time.
John, could most people know this, but I just wanted to say also, when something is marked missing and you find it, the easiest way to make it unmissing is just go into, we used to have them go into returns or and scan it, and it would come up and say that the book has been marked missing. Do you want to make it available?
Right.
And
Yep.
that's the easiest way. You just say yes, and it will change that status from missing to available.
Right. Sometimes I'll say in that statement, Lisa, the system says, "Oh, you're back. What do you want to do?"
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people can scan it and go into item status and click to make it available, but I just think it's easier just to go to returns, scan the barcode of the book and change it that way. It's a lot quicker.
And folks, sorry about my voice. I've had a cold. I'm on the other side of it, but my voice is a little it's a little different. Hey, can I show something real quick before
Go
we
right ahead,
move?
John, then we'll move on to Q&A.
Yeah. By the way, this is a site in Vermont. It's a Catholic school. They have no money. They couldn't even buy a book this year, literally. I think they wanted to buy a book and the principal had to approve a $20 or something purchase. Anyway, just to show you some things that you can do, and I know you do this already, but I don't know if you know about this. I go out and I find stuff for our sites that need things, and this makes the doors of the library even wider, as you all know, with your subscribed databases, etc. I added this tab called Open Access Books. Lisa and Karen, I can send you this if ever you want these resources. I'll send you the link to this site and you can take them all. It takes 2 seconds, copy and paste. The open access books are just from all over the place. And one thing that is pretty impressive is the Digital Public Library of America. Look at this, 47,770,000 images, texts, and videos. Wow, that's a resource. The Directory of Open Access Books, Project Gutenberg. So I thought I'd show you this. You can, add that. Open access journals, Public Library of Science, for example, just different journals. And these are offered actually by some of the vendors. Okay. So these are just 2 tabs I thought of while we were together today to show you that. We also have the K-3 ebooks, Unite for Literacy. These are free. I have a symbol put together of podcasts just to show you ideas of things you can do. What else? Oh, I'm just going to show you this because I really like this site. How Stuff Works. I look at that once a week. I think it's a great site. I love it. I just like to see what's going on. And it talks about relevant stuff out in our world that kids might really like to look at. I have to read this, ridiculous Victorian etiquette rules. Well, I'll have to have a look at that. Anyway, you can just go to these topics like tech and go to tech topics and just really interesting stuff that's very relevant for our students today, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, I just thought I'd show a little bit from this site just to give you some ideas to think about. Okay. And that's it.
Thank you very much, John. We're going to move on to the Q&A, and I did send you a document, John and Harry, with advanced questions.
Got 'em.
If you wanted to address those first, and then
Yep.
we can open up for other questions.
All right, let me make sure I'm sharing. Okay, hang on a minute. There we go. You're seeing my advanced? I'll just
Yes,
read them.
We're
Okay,
seeing your
great.
questions. Yep.
Since the beginning of the school year, the search term box does not clear after a search has been completed. Very true. You have to click on the X to clear the term. And what this is referring to, well, I'd have to reshare. Never mind. I'll just keep it there. If I search solar system, it stays until I clear it. Yeah, and I note that currently the search term remaining does not have a switch. This is on our enhancement queue because many people have asked about this since this came out spring 2022. And I think we're going to put a switch on. Some people like it. For me, doing tech support, I don't have to type. I can always just use the same search. For me, it's perfect, but not typically for a student or a researcher. So that's on our enhancement queue. And as Harry said, we've got enhancements coming out. I'm thinking it'll be a switch, so you can say, yes, you want it to stay, or no, you don't. I'm not sure, but I think, okay. All right. This is an issue with the results in the reading programs. And I think Lisa found this, or one of your sites, that if in the MARC record, even when show AR it's set to Lexile only, the feature of displaying only what you want is used to work, but now it doesn't. And that is also on our queue to fix that. Would you explain that a little bit more, Lisa?
Yeah, so we have in system preferences, we have the ability, because in the MARC records, most of the time when you get them, the vendors have information for all the reading programs. The Fontes and Pinnell, the Lexile, the accelerated reader, and there are still reading counts, even though I believe Scholastic has ended that. So we used to be able to check mark and only have it display in the search results, what you're interested in. A lot of them just want that Lexile. And even though it's configured that way now, it still shows everything in that initial search results, which makes your search results page very wordy, especially for the elementary students. So we want it just to not display. And so hopefully that will be adjusted again so that it will only display what is beneficial to your library and your students.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Now, circulation. To get a distinct sound when returning a book from a student or faculty member that is an ILL item. In other words, it doesn't belong in my collection. We have to send it back, not our item. I have helpers that are not library experienced that show ILL. Okay. You want to go to, I'm going to show you this. I'll do another I'll just show my window again. Just a second, a new share. There we go. I'll just go to this site. Yeah,
John,
go ahead.
just so you know, while you're showing this, while you're getting there, I think they're looking for something more like a line along the line of like a siren, or something to really get people's attention with it.
Like if a book's on reserve and you return it, it gives you a different chime than if you just returned it normally. So I think they're looking for like a different chime sound when it was an ILL.
Have you heard the voice sound?
It doesn't adjust for ILLs, I don't believe. It only does regular returns.
Yeah, it just says return.
Okay, I did a test the other day for it. Let me check that out. It just said, but the ILL didn't say something else.
The ILL didn't make a different sound.
Okay, we'll have to check into that because it should be, it's not a different sound, but there should actually be a voice message that is very specific about this item is a very loan item and should be returned. However, and a bit of the reason for that was that there's so many sounds now that folks need to have to get used to that we decided that we'll use a voice message instead or in addition.
Okay, so the voice messages, do they have to have external speakers or anything special on their their workstations to have the voice display? Or the voice to come out versus the sounds?
There needs to be there does need to be a speaker of some kind, either built into the desktop or attached to it.
So
that applies
so as
to
long
the
as they would
sound as
normally
well.
hear the chime, they would hear the voice.
Yeah, that's right. That applies to the sounds as well. So if they're hearing the chimes, then they should hear the voice.
Okay.
Just a second, folks.
Mm-hmm.
I did a temporary. I didn't do an ILL. I want to see what happens.
Okay.
It said to me, you didn't hear this. It came into my headset. This is a temporary item.
Oh, okay.
I didn't do ILL. This is what I did the other day. A temporary item is an item that's not really part of my collection. Maybe I use my own. Yeah. But it came up and it's a very radio driven sounding voice. This is a temporary item.
I think there might need to be external speakers because the person that proposed this question, this enhancement, says she gets the sounds, and it's turned on, but there's no voice. So I'm wondering if they need to have external speakers.
Maybe, or just, I don't know. I have a headset. I don't know. But also just go back to preferences, system
Or
prefs
voice.
number 2.
Yeah.
Make sure circulation voice is not off. Make sure it's
Okay.
on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through,
Check ours.
yeah, and double check as soon as the meeting's over. For General Brown, for the elementary schools and the high school. So we'll do a test just to make sure that it is working and how it's working. The high school there has external speakers, but she's never heard the voice say return loan. So we will double check the settings and do a check with them in the high school and the elementary school, and then report back our findings.
Yeah, let me
See,
know. I'm going to do the
Mary.
same because I have external speakers and a headset. I could just unplug everything and see what happens too. I'll check.
Okay,
We'll share our findings, okay?
Okay.
sounds
Great.
good.
Yeah.
All right, it would be nice to be able to bring up the student transactions on the loaned item list for just one homeroom teacher. All right, it's a good idea. So I don't have to do a lot of scrolling, especially if it's a lot of transactions. So let me just go back 1 second. Let me just show you. I think what you're on the loaned item list, which is, oh, I have to go. I'm going to go here. I don't want to show students. I have to be very careful. Let's go to the loaned item list. And so you're looking maybe, I guess, instead of group loans by, you would like a single homeroom or single teacher. So maybe this would have to be, because right now I could use homeroom or teacher, but I'd get every homeroom. Are we looking for a single homeroom? So maybe you would have, you could put in a number, maybe the filtering. Is that what we're looking for?
I think like in the group editor is what they're looking for. You know how you can select teacher and then the
Oh,
drop down list
right,
all the teachers, and you can just bring up a list of loaned items for that specific teacher.
Got it. Okay. Oh, I didn't see that part. Let me look at it again. Sorry.
They don't want to have to scroll through all the homerooms or all the lists of all the teachers
Yeah.
and their kids. They want to just be able to bring up one.
It's kind of like when
Specific.
you're selecting a classroom in the circulation system, you can either select by teacher from a drop-down box or a homeroom.
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned the group editor, but I think you really mean the loaned item list report, right?
Well, I was thinking of the users editor.
Oh, yeah.
When you're
okay.
in the users group editor, then you can have
Okay. Good idea.
it's auto populated. So you just
Right.
say teacher and then just click on the teacher you want.
Got it. Perfect. Great. That's a good idea, especially for the larger schools.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's go down. Very good. And by the way, everything that you've said is already added to our list, just so you know. Be valuable to have a reporter tool to run the entire catalog or call number range that would create duplicate MARC record titles that could then be merged. And just so you know, there is a video tutorial on merging records on our YouTube, in our site, our tutorial site. But that's a good idea. Very good suggestion. It's on the queue. And we've also, and I thought of this when I answered this, we do have requests fairly often as of late, I think, especially new libraries, without the greatest data they could have, to find records without a cover image. So these kind of are not the same, but there was a similarity. So I put that down too. Good point. Right now, what did I tell Lisa? I think I mentioned run the shelf list and sort it by title in a CSV spreadsheet. I know it's a manual way to do it, but that's what you could do currently. Just save the shelf list as a CSV, sort it, and then do a manual inspection of the titles. Okay. Would be nice to have MARC Global Edit and choose a field occurrence. Yes. There are times when you want to delete one subject heading field or modify the data in one of three that cannot be done. Good, good. Added that to the queue. I don't think there's much more explanation needing. Oh, are you seeing my?
No,
Oh, sorry. I just realized that. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. We're back. Okay, so yeah, the global edit, I've added that to the queue. Okay. When I print a shelf list for weeding, I do a shelf list range. I wish I could have a year range before I printed the shelf. Right now, I print the shelf list, export as a file, then take out any books that are newer than 2002. Would be nice if I could sort those out before. Okay, so I wrote, I'm assuming that the request is to have a year of publication filter range. I added it. I'm just asking out there, is that what we think we need, is a year of publication filter range on the shelf list report?
I don't know if they mean the year of publication or the year acquired.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. Yeah,
Yeah,
but the year acquired is not on the shelf list. So I made the assumption it was
what'd she
the,
say?
Copyright year.
Oh, no, she's saying yes, copyright year.
okay, great. All right.
Oh, I guess instead, yeah, they be able to, like on the statistic report, the OPAC statistic, John, you know how there were groups, like 1 to 50 or whatever. It would be nice to be able to say that you want, when running that shelf list, that you want all books newer than a publication
2000.
date of such and such.
Yeah.
Instead of once again having to remove what you don't want before you know,
Yeah.
because you're selecting page at a time there.
Right. Right. Okay. Got it. Okay. So year of publication, copyright. Great. All right. And I think this might be our last one. Yes. Be able to mark as to be able to mark a student as moved, no longer in the district or where they've moved to. Right now, they put it under student homeroom, so we pull up those overdue notices instead of giving them to the teacher. This is me, John. Notes like this this is just me free thinking, could be put into a public or private notes field. Also, make sure that the user is blocked or inactive. That's important. To see this student and others easily in the group editor, I would suggest a user type be created called moved, or a name of the library's choice, moved, transferred, whatever you think would be best. If the address line number 1 is not used, this displays well in the group editor. So here's my example. Let me see if I can make this bigger. I hope that worked. All right. Well, maybe not. 1 second, folks. I think that's the best I can do. So what I have here is, if you use it in the address line 1, you could type in the address line 1. I know this is being creative, maybe nice to have a field as well. Move to new school. Then under the homeroom, instead of homeroom, a real homeroom at the school, I say new school : South Street School or something like that. And then here, the item or the user type is as opposed to a student or faculty or whatever, I have an item type or a user type called moved, new school district. So I can easily, right up here where my cursor is on the screen, I know it's probably hard in the Zoom, it says move, new school district or something. So if you do that to the students who've moved, then you can find them easily in the group editor by putting a check mark here.
I just wanted to add to this, John, and we found this out in one of our larger districts. When they were changing the student and taking them out of the homeroom and marking them as moved, but those that are on School Tool and have automatic downloads, we found out from the School Tool staff here at the MORIC that sometimes they stay in as active and in the teacher's class. It could be up to 2 to 3 weeks until they actually has to do with the transferring of
Right.
the
Right.
files.
They have to enroll in a new school and be enrolled, or they have to stay active in the district that they were in.
Right,
Got it.
right. So
So-
don't jump fast on marking them as
Mhm.
moved because your work can just be undone
Every night.
overnight when school
Yeah.
tool updates.
Right. Very good point. I hadn't thought of that when I did this. Yeah, the
Making a
school tool
moved
will wipe it out.
user type, that's a great idea,
Mhm.
John.
I
And
liked
giving
it.
them a different,
Yeah.
it
Although
makes
if,
it easier to manage. You can bring them all up and say, what am I going to do with these? And
I mean, I only have an example of one. You would probably have many more,
yes,
Mhm.
but we have to,
Mhm.
it's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up about the overnight import. That would change the work I did.
Right,
yes.
Right.
Oh, very good point. Okay. Thank you. Well, we've got
Mhm.
a lot of ideas here. So it's nice about sharing these ideas. I should say that I've been working, Harry and I have been working with the MORIC for a long time. And it's a pleasure to work with the folks, Lisa and Karen and everyone else.
Yeah, I hate to tell people, some people look at me funny, but we go back to DOS Mandarin.
Yes, yeah. We go back to DOS Mandarin in a building in Utica.
Yes.
And Lisa this is 20,
On
30 years.
There was the Bleecker Street building,
Yeah,
and then we were in Whitesboro in Yorkville in the admin building.
yeah. Wow. Oh my God. It's making me feel old.
They don't even own that building anymore.
No. And Lisa used to bring in a nice lunch for all of us when we had our meetings, but it's good. We go back a ways. And it's always a pleasure to work with the folks at MORIC and the school library systems as well. Thanks. What else? We're a little ahead of our game. We have 10 minutes.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions for Harry or John that they want to enter into the chat, into the Q&A? We can bring them up now.
Yeah, or if you think of anything else, email Lisa or I, and we will be sure to ask those questions later on. And the only thing I think we didn't bring up is if people are still on that are sharing a computer with someone else, and you didn't log in on your own link today, put your name and your district in the chat so that Lisa and I can account that you were here today.
And John,
If you
Queen
use the
Victoria,
link, then it automatically counts you. So
Okay, what does Amy Jerome say?
and John, Queen Victoria is with us today.
Oh,
Pre-Victorian.
Okay, so there is a question that's actually a future advance. They are looking for a way to scan barcodes to create a bibliography.
Okay,
okay.
that would be easy. We can add that quite easily. Since we'll be working on the bibliography updates, we'll add that.
Okay,
Good idea.
yeah, it's
Thank you.
additional names that are coming in.
Okay.
So we're good there.
well,
Thank you.
Okay.